Now, if I had to guess what the world's most popular functional mushroom is right now, I would definitely have to say it's lion's mane. People all over the world are using lion's mane as part of their daily routine. You can find it in capsules and powder and tinctures, but you can also find it in coffee, and you can find it in all sorts of other functional food products. Well, first of all, lion's mane is a delicious gourmet edible mushroom, but that's probably not the reason why it's all of a sudden so popular. It's known as the brain mushroom because of its reported cognitive benefits. It's a natural nootropic or brain booster, and funny enough, it even kind of almost looks like a brain. There have been more and more studies coming out recently showing these brain boosting effect. Now, before diving into the study, I want to talk a little bit about neurotrophic factors because it is important to understand those if we want to understand how this whole thing works. In short, they are a family of proteins that support the growth, survival, and differentiation of neurons in the brain and the rest of the nervous system. So not only do they protect the brain's neurons from degradation, but can also help promote new ones to grow. We produce these in our brain, or using scientist parlance, you could say they are endogenous, meaning they are created inside of us. But if we weren't able to create them for some reason, or if we wanted more, we would need to find neurotrophic factors from an outside source, otherwise known as an exogenous source. But that's what makes lion's mane so amazing and so special and so unique, is because it contains compounds that are pure and safe natural compounds, promote the synthesis of nerve growth factor. So basically they wanted to purify and extract some very specific compounds and see what those things do. Now, the thing to remember here when looking at any of this research is that lion's mane, or any mushroom really, can be prepared in all sorts of different ways, and that can have a major different effects. So if you just ate this mushroom, for example, it would be a lot different than if you did an alcohol extract, or if you did a hot water extract, or if you just dried and powdered the mushroom. That part is pretty important. Whether or not you're taking mushroom supplements or trying to use mushrooms for a specific use case, understanding how they did the extractions is pretty important. So in this particular study, what they did was they started with the whole fruiting body of lion's mane mushroom, and they did two extracts. They did an alcohol extract and then a few different fractions of that, and then a hot water extract. And then the cool thing is they tested all of those different extracts versus a control group to see how that would have an effect on hippocampal neurons in a petri dish. Basically, every single one of the extract had a massive impact on the length of neurites, so the length of these outgrowths from the neuron, but also on the number of neurites, so the number of these little outgrowths. Now, keep in mind here, this was done, number one, on the hippocampal neurons of rat brains, so not human brains, and it was also done on a petri dish. So it can't be directly correlated to what is happening in humans, but still, well, that might explain some of the things that people are experiencing when they use lion's mane mushroom. Because again, this is a mushroom with a long history of use, like tons of people are finding lots of benefit from it. This just might be explaining how that actually works. Now, if we look at the length of the neurite, they call it an axon here, but the length of the neurite on these cells, you can see that one of the extracts had basically a 3.5 to 4-fold increase in length. Now, they also looked at another factor, which is the size of the cone of the neuron. So as you can see here, if you look at these different extracts of lion's mane and the effect they had on the relative growth of the cone area, it's pretty stunning, right? So to summarize, these compounds that are safe and naturally found in lion's mane mushroom, that are not found anywhere else, that are really hard to synthesize, they don't degrade quickly, and they can actually cross the blood-brain barrier and promote the growth of neurons. Now, this isn't to say that unextracted mushrooms or different extracts, say perhaps just a water extract or even just dried and powdered mushrooms, aren't going to have an effect, because again, human physiology is super complicated, mushrooms are super complicated, and how those interact makes something that's twice as complicated. And there have been studies done on just dried and powdered lion's mane mushroom, for example. There have been studies done on alcohol extracts of lion's mane mushroom. There have been studies done on the mycelium of lion's mane mushroom. So there's, again, a lot to still learn here. But I think with more of these studies coming out, the more we're kind of unraveling or unlocking about the mystery of this obviously powerful mushroom.